Okay, let's at long last have a look at Daniel chapter 1. Apologies for the delay. I have been trying to post a video, but I've just been unsuccessful. Made one earlier today and it just wouldn't upload. Before going into chapter 1, I'd just like to share a few thoughts. Going through each chapter, and I've studied the book of Daniel for a number of years, there's so much detail in each of the chapters that I'm going to have to only deal with what I believe to be the main points in each of the chapters. It's more about what not to say than what to say, because there's so much that I could say on each chapter. If I miss anything, please let me know. If you've got any questions, ask them in the comments section below. If what I say confuses you, then let me know. I more than welcome video responses. Just let me know that they exist, make me aware of them, connect them to this video, and I'll respond accordingly if the Spirit impresses me to do so. Just a few verses I'd like to focus your attention on before going into the chapter proper. Ecclesiastes 12 verses 13 and 14, Revelation 14 and verse 7. Ecclesiastes 12 verses 13 and 14 establish quite clearly the whole duty of man is to fear God and keep his commandments. It goes on to say, because every work will be brought into judgment. So there is established quite clearly the fact that mankind is judged. Revelation 14 and verse 7 reads, the first portion of the verse, fear God and give glory to him, for the hour of his judgment is come. So judgment involves us as well as the Creator. He judges us, and he is judged by the way that he goes about judging us, if that makes sense. So people are watching him and how he judges, and in order to get an insight into him as a person, we are to look at the way that he judges nations, the way that he deals with people. And Daniel, remember, the theme of the book of Daniel is judgment. So it's a great insight into how the Most High deals with individuals and nations, etc., etc. And the first few verses going into the chapter now describe to us a judgment scene. Verses 1 and 2 describe the fact that in the third year of King Jehoiakim, Nebuchadnezzar besieges Jerusalem. Verse 2 tells us that he is given into the hand of Nebuchadnezzar. Nebuchadnezzar takes some of the vessels from the sanctuary to the temple of his God. A lot in those two verses, and I can only scratch the surface of the content. Why are the Most High's people given into the hand of Nebuchadnezzar? And Nebuchadnezzar must have been feeling sweet, thinking that his God is more mighty because he was victorious. Thankfully, later on, he discovers that the Creator is the one that sets up kingdoms and also brings them down. So let's look at some of the symbolism. I'm trying to keep my train of thought. Why were the Israelites judged? Why were the children of Judah judged? If you look at the book of Jeremiah, you'll see that they were guilty of idolatry. Jeremiah, Isaiah and other prophets had warned them for years against idolatry. And Jeremiah even said if you don't repent, you're going to go into captivity for a period of 70 years. These verses here describe, chapter 1 describes the beginning of the 70-year period described by Jeremiah. Was there an investigation? If you look through the book of Jeremiah, you'll see time and time again Jeremiah says, I have seen. It's the Creator speaking through Jeremiah. So the Creator is having a look, not to find out what is going on. Remember, the pattern of judgment is intended to reveal something about his love for the benefit, not for his benefit, for the benefit of the people being judged. And we established that a video or so ago. Let's look at some of the symbolism in verses 1 and 2. But remember, this is an important rule to apply when studying the book of Daniel especially. Local and literal events described that go on in Babylon involving certain individuals, certain peoples, become worldwide and spiritual in these last days. So we're going to look at what Babylon represents spiritually or symbolically. Jerusalem besieged, and the vessels of the sanctuary. First of all, Babylon. In Revelation, we have described a woman known as Babylon the Great. A woman represented a church. It's an apostate, fallen woman described in Revelation 17. So it's therefore an apostate, fallen religious system. Jerusalem always represents the Most High's people. So you've got Babylon representing a fallen religious system, Jerusalem representing the true religious system, for want of a better term. Jerusalem besieged represents an attack on the people of the Most High by Babylon the Great. And if you look at Revelation 13 and Revelation 17, you'll see their insight into how the battle commences. And we'll look at those chapters later on by the Most High's grace. Now, the sanctuary is very significant. Psalm 77 and verse 13 tells us that his way, the Most High's way, is to be found where? In the sanctuary. If you look at the vessels contained in the sanctuary, they all ultimately symbolize Christ. So the taking of the vessels from the sanctuary to the temple of his Nebuchadnezzar's God is a direct attack on the ministry of Christ, or it represents a direct attack on the ministry of Christ in these last days. Moving on swiftly, you can see the symbolism in verses 1 and 2 point towards a great attack on the Most High's people in the last days, in the fact that the ministry of Christ, which benefits all people, is being taken away. Not only are the vessels taken from Jerusalem to Babylon, also individuals are taken. 4 of them are named: Daniel, Hananiah, Mishael, Azariah. Daniel, Hananiah, Mishael, and Azariah. So 4 of them are named. Each of their names ultimately gives glory to the Most High. To the Hebrew, a name represented character. Now, when they arrived in Babylon, they were to be tested for 3 years there. Their names were changed from Hebrew names to Chaldean names. Their Hebrew names gave glory to the Most High. Their Chaldean names gave glory to pagan deities, to false gods. It's an indirect attack on their character, on their mind. And in these last days, the devil is doing the same thing. The only thing that we will carry to heaven with us is the character that we develop down here through the trials and tribulations that the Most High allows us to go through to shape us. We won't take these sinful bodies. And the devil today, as he was back in literal Babylon, is looking to attack the mind, he's looking to attack the character, or he's attacking the mind that the character might not become, that we might not develop, should I say, the character of Christ as is prescribed for the church in Philippians chapter 2 and verse 5. So there was a battle on the mind and character back then. There's a battle on the mind and character in these days now. Through the media, the devil is looking to use, to a certain degree, our senses against us to cloud the mind, that we might not develop, by his grace, the character of Christ. There was also a dietary change described. The Babylonians wanted to implement or to put in place for the 3 years a Babylonian diet, because they believed that it was for the best. Food from the king's table, and also the wine that the king would drink. Daniel purposed in his heart, I believe, as well as his 3 friends, that he wasn't going to defile his body with these things. So he spoke to Melzar, and thankfully he'd been brought into favour. Melzar favoured him because of his faithfulness, I believe, because he was a man of principle, and he requested a 10-day trial. During the 10 days he was to eat, him and his friends, Edenic food, Bible food, and at the end of the 10 days they were to be tested to see if it had benefited them. Now, I believe this was the Most High reaching out through the 4 boys to Melzar, and the Most High, used the health message. And in these last days, the health message is the power of the health message is often underestimated. We as a group, myself and a handful of individuals known as Footstep Ministries, we go out week after week trying to preach the gospel. We do preach the gospel. Most people, though, are more interested in the health message than the gospel itself. The health message is such a great way of reaching people, and I know that Melzar would have been impressed and drawn to a certain degree to the Creator through the health message, in the fact that after 10 days he saw that the 4 boys were more healthy than the others, and that would have touched his heart, I believe. So we need to, in these last days, be reaching people through the health message. At the end of the 3 years, Nebuchadnezzar inspected them, and he found them to be, those 4 boys, 10 times better than all of the other captives, as well as, I believe, the wise men who were serving in his court, and they were all given prominent positions in his court. Now, to summarise, let me say this. Remember, at the beginning of the video, I mentioned 2 verses, one of them Revelation chapter 14 and verse 7. Ultimately, the people of the Most High are being judged in chapter 1, but more than that, it's the Creator being judged. Now, everything that the Hebrews did was a reflection of who the Creator was. Melzar, when watching the 4 Hebrew boys, was ultimately watching the Creator, because everything that they did, they would have given the glory to the Creator. When you look at the book of Job, you'll see interaction in chapter 1 between the devil and the Most High. The Most High points toward Job. He was an example of Christian spiritual living in the place that he dwelt at that time. Now, the Hebrew boys were also an example of Christian living true Bible living in Babylon. So, in summary, they were judged. Ultimately, though, the Most High was judged. I'm going to end there because it's almost 10 minutes. Please pray for me as I pray for you.